the day laborer lawsuit in the village of Mamaroneck.
Things will be looking up under the Larchmont train station.
Learn how you can make your own law.
Improvements are coming to a trail near you.
The discussion continues about local playing fields.
And how you can enter Westchester's funniest home video contest. Those stories and more coming up on this edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. A new year of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Sven Oehme.
And I'm Maura Carlin. Our top story in this new year continues to be the day laborer lawsuit in the village of Mamaroneck. As you may recall, in late November 2006, a federal district judge found that the village had engaged in conduct to harass local day laborers on the basis of their Hispanic roots and gave the parties time to try to settle before ruling on remedies. That time has now been extended to January 19th. According to Mamaroneck Village Mayor Phil Trifoletti, the lawyers for the parties are talking and the village trustees will be briefed in an executive session on January 8th. We will continue to keep you posted.
George Latimer, a Democrat representing our area in the New York State Assembly, has been successful in obtaining a grant to improve the pedestrian tunnel at the Larchmont train station. The tunnel runs under I-95 and connects the Manhattan-bound platform of the Larchmont train station to Memorial Park in the town of Mamaroneck. The tunnel has been an eyesore for many years. The responsibilities for the tunnel have also been shifted around a bit. Residents of the Mamaroneck town usually complain to the town office about the condition of the tunnel. The responsibilities for maintenance of the tunnel belong mostly to the village of Larchmont. In turn, Larchmont officials have been trying to get funding from the New York Transportation Authority, but those attempts have not been successful. Latimer put the tunnel on his agenda, and he was quoted in the Journal News saying, "Commuters deserve a modern, clean and safe tunnel. This capital grant of $50,000 should help the renovation process advance." End of quote. Larchmont Village trustee Ann McAndrews was also quoted in the Journal News, and she said, quote, "What the village has to get a handle on now is how much it is going to cost to fix whatever is causing all the seepage. Just repainting will not solve the problem. It will just come back." End of quote.
Fields, and the lack of them, were again at the forefront of the last 2006 Larchmont Village Board meeting, with discussion focusing on whether to apply for a Westchester County Legacy Grant to develop fields at Flint Park. While funds under this program have been available since 2001, at least in part, the community interest in avoiding field development at the Kemper Memorial site at Mamaroneck High School made officials and residents receptive to considering an application at this time. Of course, there are conditions and obstacles. Most obvious is the county's requirement of a quid pro quo in the nature of either affordable housing or assuming responsibility for a 1.1-mile stretch of Palmer Avenue. At the meeting, Mayor Lisfeld expressed a leaning toward the development of affordable workforce housing for the village's teachers and civil employees. Perhaps less predictable, though, was concern for a cat colony at the park. Volunteers from Pet Rescue, a local group that has long cared for the cats with food and neutering, wants the cat colony moved to a safe location within the park. Mayor Lisfeld said that plans are being made for a humane relocation of the cats. Submission of a grant application requires a village board resolution, and the public comment period extends through January 8th, the date of the next village meeting.
For the second year, State Assemblyman George Latimer, who represents our area in the State Assembly, is sponsoring the Make Your Own Law program. The idea behind the program is to include residents in the process of drafting state law. Residents of his district are invited to send proposals to him for state legislation. Any such proposal should include a draft of the idea of the legislation, the purpose of it, and also specific benefits of the proposed law, and the expenses tied to the proposal. Latimer's team will review all sorts of proposals regarding their legal permissibility, the expenses attached to the proposal, and also view whether such a proposal stands the chance of being successful in the legislative process in New York State. Judge Latimer was quoted in the Journal News saying, quote, "Many people have good ideas, but this takes the process to the next step. It may be a good practice for high school and college students or for senior citizens, people active in local neighborhood associations or in a garden club or for any interested individual," end of quote. Latimer acknowledges that the citizens have to do some work in submitting the proposal in a certain specified format. Last year, he received more than 24 such proposals. A number of them were redrafted by his staff and submitted to the Assembly, and one proposal sent in by a resident of Portchester, Charles Rosenberg, which deals with raising the public awareness for organ donations, became law last year. For further information, you can contact George Latimer's office by calling 914-777-3832 or send an email to latimerg@assembly.state.ny.us.
Outdoor enthusiasts looking for improved trail space will soon find it right here in the Sound Shore area. Westchester County has committed funds for major improvements in the 15-mile Colonial Greenway trail system that goes through New Rochelle, Larchmont, Mamaroneck, and Scarsdale. Westchester County Executive Andy Spano credited New Rochelle Mayor Noam Branson and Mamaroneck Town Councilwoman Nancy Seligson in spearheading the plan for the Colonial Greenway Trail. The Greenway links existing trails, such as the Leatherstocking Trail here in the town, with other existing pathways like the Hutchinson River Pathway and various county and local parks and nature preserves. The town of Mamaroneck will be working on the improvements with New Rochelle and the county departments of planning, parks, and public works regarding landscape enhancements, signage, educational maps, and brochures. For more information, you can go to the county website at www.westchester.gov.com/planning/design/trailway.html.
Human rights and baseball go together in the memory of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Mike Witch has more.
April Farber, welcome to the LMC studio.
It's very nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. And this year's event is titled, tell me about it.
The title is Taking a Swing for the Dream. It was conceived by one of our commissioners, and the idea was to see the linkage between what happened in baseball prior to what happened with the dream years of Martin Luther King. In fact, the integration of baseball, which took place around 1947, actually predated not only the integration of the armed forces, but the integration of our public schools with Brown versus the Board of Ed. So we think that baseball and Jackie Robinson really led civil rights in a way that was echoed again in the 60s, but really started back in the 40s.
And it was Jackie Robinson that crossed that color line in 1947 on the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Yes, he was brought on to be their player in 1947, having come up through the just newly generated farm team system that had come up. So he played actually by Branch Rickey, who at the time worked for the Dodgers, very well selected manager, and was looking for someone that not only was an incredible ball player, and we know that Jackie Robinson made it to the Hall of Fame in his first year that he was eligible, but was also a stellar human being in terms of being able to take whatever was thrown at him and turn the other cheek. And that was very important for a successful integration of baseball.
And you also have someone who played with him, who's the keynote speaker.
Yes, we do. We are delighted to be able to bring to the public on that evening Ralph Branca. Ralph is now of venerable years. I think he's somewhere in there. He is a local man, lives over in Harrison, and he has played with Jackie Robinson all the years that Jackie played for the team, and played actually 2 more years on the Dodgers before Jackie Robinson joined. So I think if there isn't anyone that can tell us a little bit under those new conditions, it would be Ralph. He's supposed to be a stellar storyteller, a man of a lot of natural ability to speak in front of an audience, and we really, really look forward to having him.
And we should mention that all this is happening on January the 10th.
Yes, it's coming up around the corner. We tried to make the Martin Luther King evening as close as the Martin Luther King Day itself, but we certainly recognize that people may still be away, so we want to bring in as many community members because we have a lot of community participation, and certainly we can talk about that as well. Theater, the Emlyn Theater has given at the graciously of themselves every year now. This is our 20th anniversary. 7:30 is the beginning of the evening. I would suggest getting there a little bit earlier because we will have a Homics Quintet welcoming you as you come in with period pieces from the 1947s, including a hit song called "Did You See Jackie Robinson Hit That Ball?" Not to be missed. Not only will you hear it played, you will hear it sung by a Homics group of singers, and then we will teach the audience because you will have in your program all of the words to that song.
That sounds
terrific.
terrific.
So it's going to be started off with a bang. not to coin a phrase, and we look very much forward to people coming around 7:15.
Now, the Human Rights Commission is also going to recognize someone from the community.
Yes, we are. Every year, and this is the 20th year that we're doing this, we send out multiple letters of nomination to community groups and community leaders, asking them to think about a human being in our community who has shown for many years the spirit of the work of Martin Luther King. This year, we received a number of very strong nominations, but when the commission sat down and came to consensus as to who that person would be, we strongly endorsed Mary Lee Berridge to be that person for us. She has worked in our community well over 40 years in many capacities. Currently, she's head of the Summit and also of the Interfaith Council, and she was very excited and delighted to be our nominee of choice.
Good. And there are there's going to be participation from the schools?
Yes, we always make sure that we have young people and teachers who are willing to accept our invitation of participation so that we have representatives from the high school, from Mamaroneck High School. Shannon Turner Porter has a group of her. We have from
multicultural group
Mamaroneck
coming to
High
dance.
School an advanced placement American history class who are coming with their advisor, Nora Hansen, who will be doing not only some kind of a rap, but will also have a PowerPoint program to go along with. And then we have a select group of Homics singers along with someone from their choir director, and we have the Homics Quintet. So we have a lot of participation
It sounds like a
on the part
lovely
of
evening
students.
and a meaningful evening.
We certainly hope everyone will see it that way. It moves nicely. Not only do we have that, but we're bringing to everyone's attention the fact that there was a film that was actually written about the life of Jackie Robinson, and we're showing a small clip of that to kind of set the scene.
And we should also mention that the event is going to be carried live on this station on LMC-TV.
It will be live and it will be free. We do not expect any remuneration, and we certainly hope people will stay afterwards because there are also refreshments that are being offered by different delis and supermarkets and gourmet shops in the community that have offered those to us so that you can have something to eat or drink at the end of the show.
Good.
Serving up school lunch has its difficulties. Amy Schachtel dishes this story.
When the lunch bell rings at our grammar schools, our children should not have to be concerned anymore regarding the quality of their very important midday meal. Most parents can't be at school with their child at lunchtime to make sure they're getting a nutritious lunch. In the past, lunch was provided by brown bags from home with the occasional lunch with Lou or pizza. Now students at Chatsworth, Murray Avenue, and Central schools can order hot lunches through Whitson's Culinary Group, which has been providing lunch at Homics and Mamaroneck High School since about September of 2005, as well as the Mamaroneck Avenue School. Herein lay the unique problem. Unlike other clients of the Whitsons, none of the district's elementary schools have working kitchens. So, in order for a hot lunch to be available, all orders must either be pre-cooked, pre-ordered, or pre-packaged, which has resulted in a few flaws in the system and has affected our kids. Sometimes there are incorrect orders, unprocessed orders, and sometimes no hot lunch at all. All involved parties are working to rectify these issues, and having the option of hot lunch and not having to fill that morning brown bag certainly helps many local parents.
Attention all teachers and teachers-to-be. Mike Witch has details on an upcoming job fair.
Mamaroneck school officials expect hundreds of people to line up for interviews during the district's upcoming job fair, Saturday, January 20th. Last year, more than 600 hopefuls applied for a variety of openings. Interviews were conducted all day by a team of administrators. The district typically needs 30 to 40 new staff members each September. Anticipated openings starting next September are in special education, technology, and physical education, as well as a range of academic subjects and all grade levels. This year, the job fair was advertised in newspapers, and you can find it on the district's website. In fact, the application process starts online. Actually, it's part of an area-wide effort to recruit teachers and administrators for schools throughout the lower Hudson Valley area. Dozens of districts are participating, including Mamaroneck and Rhinebeck. While it's too late to apply in Mamaroneck, their deadline was January 5th, it's not too late for other districts. For more information, get on your computer and go to this website, www.olasjobs.org/LHD. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Mike Witch.
Thinking about joining a gym? Amy Schachtel shares some advice from Westchester County to avoid being taken.
One of the most popular New Year's resolutions is to exercise more and get in shape. A typical way to do that is join a gym or health club. A great idea if done right. As carefully as you choose to take care of yourself, be as careful in your health club choice. Contact westchestergov.com. The Consumer Department is offering information regarding the contracts that the salespeople have you sign. The message the consumer needs to get is buyer beware. What seems like a very easy deal can all too easily be one of the more binding and difficult contracts to discontinue. The Department of Consumer Protection is on your side, and as I said before, contact westchestergov.com to help if you need support in making your selection. A few points to consider. Number 1, make sure the club offers the equipment and instruction that you require. 2, check certification of the staff. Check that the classes and facilities are proper for you. And ask for a guest pass to try things out. And remember, you are the consumer. It's up to you to exercise your rights before you exercise your body. Being well informed and aware is the key to making an educated choice. Get a good workout, not a workover. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Amy Schachtel.
Do you have Westchester's funniest home video? Larry Horowitz tells how you can become a star.
Attention all you would-be filmmakers and comedians, now's your big chance. You can enter Westchester's Funniest Home Video Contest. First prize, $1,000 worth of Playland tickets. And your winning video will be shown on Westchester TV channel 504. To enter the contest, submit your amateur home video of up to 3 minutes on VHS, DVD, or mini DV, along with an entry form no later than March 1st. Entries can be mailed to, now go get a pen and paper because this is really long. Okay, you ready? Westchester County Office Building, 148 Martine Avenue, White Plains, New York, 10606, Communications Room 938. Attention, Funniest Home Video Contest. Judges will select the top 3 videos to appear on Channel 506, and you can vote for your favorite online starting March 15th. For more information and the entry form, go to www.westchestergov.com/TV. Mamaroneck Community News. Good luck. I'm Larry Horowitz.
And that's it for this week's edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News.
If you want to see this news show again, you can. It's on every weekday night at 7 p.m. We record one show each week and it's replayed on this channel, LMC-TV channel 75.
Or if you want to request to see it, you can. Call LMC-TV after 4 in the afternoon during the week at 698-6808 and ask to see the news show. They'll try to put it on at a time that's convenient for you to watch.
And this reminder, this news program is an all-volunteer effort and we could use a few more volunteers either behind the scenes or as a reporter. Or maybe you'd like to shoot video, and whatever the case, we need you.
In short, if you want to volunteer to help us put this program on, we have something for you to do. Stop by some Thursday night in the LMC-TV studios and see how we do what we do.
The LMC-TV studios are in the Mamaroneck High School, the Palmer Avenue side, just up the stairs across from the landmark Walter's hot dog stand. We get things started around 7 p.m. and we would love to see you.
Also, if you have any comments or suggestions or some video of an event that you'd like us to put on this news show, bring it to the studio or write to us at Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News in care of LMC-TV, Mamaroneck Town Center, 740 West Boston Post Road, Mamaroneck, New York, 10543.
Thanks again for watching Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Sven Oehme.
And I'm Maura Carlin. We'll see you next week. Mamaroneck schools sued over handling of child molestation charges.
Plea deals on drug busts.
Safety a major school concern.
News from the town.
Death of a local teaching legend.
And kids helping kids in Africa. Those stories and more coming up on this edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. Hello and welcome to Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Sven Oehme.
And I'm Maura Carlin. Our top story. The Mamaroneck School District has been sued on allegations related to the admission by former Homix Middle School music teacher Omar Rodriguez of having sex with a Connecticut teen and the rubbing and handling of some Homix students. Parents of two of the Homix students filed a federal lawsuit claiming a violation of constitutional rights and seeking damages against the school district. Rodriguez recently pleaded guilty to some of the charges in a deal that would carry up to 6 months of prison. He's already served some time and may face no additional time. According to the Journal News, lawyers for the plaintiffs say the school district mishandled the matter and should have taken action much earlier. By not acting, the lawyers claim, the district deprived the girls of an appropriate and safe educational environment. The school district has refused to comment on the specific lawsuit allegations and has referred to the litigation to its insurer and to legal counsel.
A successful drug investigation in the village of Mamaroneck concluded with the accused pleading guilty to various charges. In early January of 2006, a Mamaroneck Village Bicycle Patrol observed a drug deal being conducted in the village. Officers Ossie Ramos and Anthony Layden saw the suspicious activity in Mamaroneck and stepped in. The two officers found 48 bags of cocaine and marijuana. They also found $3,800 in cash. The officers continued to observe the persons involved in this case: Eddie Brabham, 36 of Mount Vernon, Elada Abramova, 36 of Mamaroneck. The buyer of the drug was Mark Johnson, 36, also from Mamaroneck. Police officers continued to do an undercover investigation of Eddie Brabham and Elada Abramova. They saw them conducting 2 sales of cocaine in the village, and in addition, Mr. Brabham was observed making the 3 additional cocaine sales. The police officers were able to videotape some of these actions and also obtained information that Mr. Brabham had stored cocaine in the residence of his mother in Mount Vernon. There they did find a suitcase with cocaine. Mr. Brabham pleaded guilty recently to 1 count of attempted criminal sale of a controlled substance in the 3rd degree and 1 count of criminal possession of a controlled substance in the 4th degree. Both are C-class felonies and are related to heroin trafficking. He will be sentenced on March 8 and could face a maximum of 15 years in state prison. Elada Apromova pleaded guilty to criminal possession in the 7th degree and perjury in the 3rd degree and faces a maximum of 1 year in prison on the most serious charge when she is sentenced on March 1st, 2007. She is a Russian citizen and is in the US on a school visa. However, she has not been attending school for over a year. Mr. Johnson, the buyer and the original drug dealer, in the original drug deal that the police officers observed, pleaded guilty to attempted criminal possession of a controlled substance in the 3rd degree. And he will be sentenced on March 15 and could receive a sentence of up to 15 years in prison.
School safety was the hot topic at a recent Mamaroneck School Board meeting as principals and the safety committees of their schools reported on the findings and recommendations based in part on an outside consultant's evaluation. The bottom line is sure to affect the budget's bottom line, as the increased security ideas, if adopted, certainly will require extra funds. Some ideas suggested for all district schools are improved burglary alarms, better indoor and outdoor signage, and monitored entry points with some sort of greeter, as the high school recently adopted. Individual schools also pressed requests for their needs specific to their settings, and elementary schools were particularly concerned with difficulties stemming from drop-off and pickup of young children. Views expressed were far from unanimous, as some expressed concerns over the change in culture that extra security would bring, as well as whether it was overkill. When Board President Cecilia Absher asked who we were trying to protect our children from, Bob Barrett of BCL Solutions, the outside consultant, said that most abductions involve disgruntled non-custodial parents and strangers, and that most kidnapping incidents actually occur outside the school building. Absher then noted the need to reach a balance. If you're interested, the budget discussions will begin on Tuesday, March 6th at 7:30 in the evening in the high school library conference room. The public is welcome to attend.
Mamaroneck Town Supervisor Valerie O'Keefe delivered her State of the Town address earlier this month. She gave a review of the budget that had been adopted on December 20th. According to her, the town remains in a financially strong condition. She also mentioned that the board had approved the construction of 139 condominium units on Madison Avenue last year. A new parking structure was also approved and will be built on Myrtle Boulevard. In 2007, Mamaroneck Town, together with the village of Larchmont, will conduct a study of the sanitation collection schedule and routes with the goal of improving this service to the residents. At the town board meeting, New York State Assemblyman George Latimer, Democrat, also spoke. He addressed the issue that has been discussed in the town of Mamaroneck of creating a traffic district. This would happen in the Washington Square area, and it is due to parking issued in that part of the town. Latimer said that the implementation of such a plan would require so-called home rule legislation, which would mean approval by the New York State Assembly and New York State Senate. Latimer told the town board that once such legislation had been drafted by the board, he would work on implementing it at the state level. At this meeting, Town Administrator Steve Altieri gave a report to the board regarding the negotiations with the Civil Services Employees Association. A settlement has now been reached. The employees of Mamaroneck Town, the office personnel and members of the Highway Department had been working without a contract since September 2005. Under the new contract, salaries will go up 3.5% retroactively from January 1st, 2006. There is another raise of 3.5% starting January of this year, and a 4% raise will go into effect on January 1st, 2008. The settlement was unanimously approved by the board.
The road to a new firehouse in the village of Mamaroneck is now shorter and paved with village dollars, or at least finance dollars, as the village board adopted a bond resolution for $8.9 million to build a new firehouse on Palmer Avenue. The new building will house both the Mamaro Fire Company and the Hook and Ladder Company. Well, now plans will go forward to knock down the old building at Palmer and Mount Pleasant Avenues to build a new 23,000 square foot facility with room for more than 4 trucks, at a total cost of $10.2 million.
Last week we reported on a state grant of $50,000 for the pedestrian tunnel at Larchmont train station connecting the Manhattan-bound platform site with Memorial Park. This grant was obtained by State Assemblyman George Latimer. In addition to this grant, the village now has obtained another $683,000 from the New York State Department of Transportation. This money will be used to improve and rebuild sidewalks, streetlights, and signs on Palmer Avenue near the Larchmont train station. The village has to contribute about 20% or $170,000 of its own money towards the improvements. After the planning period that is scheduled for this spring, the first building activities should start in the fall of this year.
A great program underway for kids to help other kids. Here's more from Glenna Gray.
Does everyone in the world get water, Kip?
According to what we've been learning, no.
Who doesn't get water?
Well, a certain area that we are focused on is Africa. And we know that the topic of water is a very important one, not only today, but for the future generations. And so, who better to turn to than to the children, to the future generations,
Yes.
to help us with this social consciousness issue.
Are they in cyberspace?
They are. Where are you guys residing? In Cyber Compassion is the name of our project. And this is a handful of our team, and we're working to build compassion into the curriculum in the schools local here in Westchester, and we're building it outwards. And we're aiming at a very ambitious project. The kids are raising awareness and funds through their social entrepreneurial activities, and through their efforts they're raising awareness and funds
To bring water to children and adults in Mozambique.
in Mozambique. It's a very ambitious build out of 50 wells and 50 latrines in an area of Mozambique, and we're focused on northern Mozambique, and we work with the field on the ground crew from Save the Children.
Do you work with the government of Mozambique?
Not yet, but we have been discussing with Save the Children, and they are in fact working with the ministers of health.
Save the Children, and where are they located?
Well, in this country, they're in Connecticut, and we've been working with them. And I was able to visit them in Mozambique, in Xai-Xai, and their field office there. And that's how we're able to know that they know what they're doing, they know where they need to be, and we're working with them. They have a 4-star Charity Navigator status, which is important, because then you know that you don't need to know about how to build the well. You know that they do, and we're working with them. We're collaborating with them.
But it's very interesting that you said that wells and latrines, they go together. Yes, very often we only think of drinking it, but then we get rid of it.
That's right.
So we also need that. And in Africa, there's a vast need. All of my life, I have seen this vast need with very little changes. So I'm looking forward to all of you youngsters to change the world. Are you willing to do that?
Of course, yes. Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
And you will be connecting adults to the problem and not just children. So when you go home tonight, when I turn on my water, I will think of Mozambique. Is there anything else I should think of?
I think our goal is to build the website and to get that name out there. The kids have come up with www.cybercompassion.
www.cybercompassion.com.
.net.tv. All the URLs.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so
Wonderful.
They thought that was kind of a cool way of putting it, to activate the kids using the media that they know best.
Yes.
And they sure know how to navigate, and they're gonna kick it up into gear, and it's gonna be as three-dimensional as kids can make it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed this little talk. We will be speaking with these youngsters at another time. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Au revoir.
Mike Witch tells us of the passing of a local legend, one known by generations of Mamaroneck high schoolers.
Bert Eddings was a popular teacher and coach for 38 years in the district. He was also a colleague who retired in 1988. He passed away at home in Amherst, Massachusetts on December 31st at age 81. A story published last week in the Journal News summarized his lifelong commitment to youth, to athletics, and to the outdoors. He started teaching at Chatsworth School in 1951. When he moved to MHS, where I met him, he was teaching physical education and health. He helped establish several alternative education programs, including Touchstone and School Within a School. He also coached swimming and football. His 1962 junior varsity football team was undefeated. In the 1980s, Bert was a nationally ranked triathlete. He organized and competed in the Mamaroneck Triathlon and ran both the New York and Boston marathons. Eddings also served on the board of directors for the Westchester County chapters of several national health organizations, including the March of Dimes. He spent summers early in his career directing sleepaway camps for youth, among them Camp Rainbow in Ridgewood, New Jersey, which serves mentally disabled children, and Gardner Lake Camp near Colchester, Connecticut. His wife, Barbara, is quoted in the newspaper saying this about him: "He was an advocate for programs that help people. The American Red Cross, the American Cancer Society, the March of Dimes, Camp Rainbow, Touchstone. He never stopped giving," she says. "He never stood still." Memorial contributions may be made locally to Friends of the Marshlands in Rye. A service will be held in Amherst, Massachusetts on February 17th. Reporting for Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Michael Witch.
One history lesson may have passed, but even if you're past school, you can get in on another. Glenna Gray tells how.
In December, Professors James and Lois Horton conducted a lecture and slideshow at the Mamaroneck High School on the topic of slavery in the United States of America. The Hortons' theme declares, in order for Americans to justify slavery, the European Americans had to dehumanize the African. This racial theory, quote, "there is something different about these people," unquote, continues until today. This racial theory therefore made it acceptable for whites to be entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Their chattel, the Africans, were not entitled to these rights. The Africans never really accepted bondage and always sought measures to free themselves. The Africans attempted to escape slavery by serving with the British Army, buying their way out, by joining different alliances of freedmen, and through the Underground Railroad. The students learned that New York State gradually freed the slaves from 1799 through the 1820s. Many former slaves were recaptured and sent to the South until 1865. On February 14th, Professor Eric Foner will speak on the Civil War and Reconstruction. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Glenna Gray.
Want to learn more about coaching youth sports? Here's your chance.
The Larchmont Mamaroneck Youth Lacrosse League is gearing up for the 2007 season by offering a free coaching workshop this Wednesday, January 17th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at Mamaroneck High School. It's open to their staff and anyone involved in youth sports, but it's not what you might expect. Designed by the Positive Coaching Alliance, the 2-hour session aims to make every adult involved in youth sports not only a game winner, but more importantly, someone who uses sports to teach those life lessons that are positive and build character. They call it double goal coaching. Chris Knowles, the boys' first stepper commissioner here, took the course last year. There are 2 main goals that we have for each season, he explains. The first is to teach the kids the awesome game of lacrosse by focusing on the basic fundamentals. The second is to build the kids up and have fun. Says Chris, the second goal will transcend any sport they pick up over the years. In addition to the league's coaching staff, coaches from Mamaroneck High School, Rye Lacrosse, Larchmont Soccer, Rye Country Day School, and community members associated with Fields for Kids have registered to attend the workshop. Additional spots are still available, but you'd better hurry. Here's an email address to reserve a seat. Write to pca07@optonline.net. The Positive Coaching Alliance is based at Stanford University. Their goal is to certify 1 million U.S. coaches by the year 2010. Our local lacrosse league will add about 95 to 100 coaches to that goal by April 1st this year. In fact, the leagues earned PCA's Seal of Commitment last year for their promise to provide youth athletes a positive, character-building experience and require every coach to be trained and certified as a double-goal coach. The 2-hour workshop will be held in the new tiered classroom at Mamaroneck High School, again this Wednesday, January 17th, 6 to 8 p.m. Participants will receive course material and workbooks. Refreshments will be served. Here's that email address again to reserve a seat, pca07@optonline.net. Reporting for Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Michael Witch.
Spring may be months away, but it's time to think about pitchers and catchers. Larry Horowitz drives in this story.
If you plan to cheer for your little slugger this spring, don't forget to sign her or him up for Larchmont Mamaroneck Little League. First-timers must register in person with birth certificate and proof of residency. The last date is Saturday, January 20th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at St. Augustine's on Larchmont Avenue in Larchmont, near the public library. Go to the rear cafeteria. Returning players can register online. For more detailed information, check out the website larchmontmamaronecklittleLeague.org. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Larry Horowitz.
Glenna Gray is back with the Real Estate Corner.
Welcome to the Real Estate Corner. There are no statistics this evening. Tonight, I wish to inform you of a clothing drive in our community. The Wycott Realtors of Larchmont are collecting coats and warm items for men, women, and children who are in need. Although we have million-dollar houses, we also have people who could use help. For more information, call Wycott Realtors at 833-0800. They are located at 2090 Boston Post Road in Larchmont. That is in between Chatsworth and Larchmont Avenues. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Glenna Gray.
And that's it for this week's edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News.
If you want to see this news show again, you can. It's on every weekday night at 7 p.m. We record one show each week, and it's replayed on this channel, LMC-TV, channel 75.
Or if you want to request to see it, you can. Call LMC-TV after 4 in the afternoon during the week at 698-6808 and ask to see the news show. They'll try to put it on at a time that's convenient for you to watch.
And this reminder, this news program is an all-volunteer effort, and we could use a few more volunteers, either behind the scenes or as a reporter. Or maybe you'd like to shoot video. Whatever the case, we need you.
In short, if you want to volunteer to help us put this program on, we have something for you to do. Stop by some Thursday night in the LMC-TV studios and see how we do what we do.
The LMC-TV studios are in the Mamaroneck High School, the Palmer Avenue site, just up the stairs across from the landmark Walter's hot dog stand. We get things started around 7 p.m. and we would love to see you.
Also, if you have any comments or suggestions or some video of an event that you'd like us to put on this news show, bring it to the studio or write to us at Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News in care of LMC-TV, Mamaroneck Town Center, 740 West Boston Post Road, Mamaroneck, New York, 10543.
Thanks again for watching Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Sven Oehme.
And I'm Maura Carlin. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
So you said you're not going to be here. Changes are coming to bus and air travel.
Residents fight a proposed development.
Mamaroneck High School students face possible jail time.
And another gets a prestigious award.
Fire equipment on the agenda in the town and village of Mamaroneck.
And back saving, not breaking advice. Those stories and more coming up on this edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. Hello and welcome to Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Sven Oehme.
And I'm Maura Carlin. Our top story. Transportation leads the news this show from buses to air. First up, MetroCard is coming to Westchester County, April 1st. With a MetroCard, you can buy a card with a fixed number of rides or one with unlimited rides for a specific time period, both at significant discounts. With a MetroCard, a ride on the Beeline bus costs $2 with a free transfer and maybe even less depending on the discounts. Travel on the Westchester Manhattan Express bus will be $5, down from $7. But if you still choose to pay in cash, beware. You must have exact change in coins. No more dollar bills, folks, and different fares may apply without discounts or free transfers. Seniors and the disabled still get half-price fares, but you must apply for a reduced fare MetroCard weeks before the April 1st startup. This will be a photo ID card authorizing you discount travel. Officials are suggesting you apply early as it may take weeks to get the card, and the sooner you apply, the sooner you get your card. To apply for the reduced fare MetroCard, call 1-800-MetroCard or go online at mta.info. MetroCards will be available for purchase at Metro North train stations with MetroCard vending machines, New York City subway station booths, and will be coming soon to neighborhood stores and buses and vans with scheduled routes through Westchester. For more information, call 914-813-7777 or go to the county website at westchestergov.com.
Westchester County Airport will get a new airline on March 28. JetBlue will begin offering service from Westchester to 3 Florida destinations. On March 28, the airline will start with one daily flight to Orlando. On April 2nd, a second flight will be added to Orlando. In addition, there will be one flight to West Palm Beach and another one to Fort Lauderdale. The airline CEO, David Nealman, told the Journal News, quote, "We are the largest airline from New York to Florida with 70 flights a day. A lot of our customers that we have are from Westchester County. They will be faster when flying from Westchester, and we wanted to accommodate them." End of quote. The flight leaving for Orlando on March 28 is scheduled for 8:55 in the morning. The second flight to Orlando starting on April 2nd will leave at 8:55 p.m. The Fort Lauderdale flight starting on April 2nd will leave at 7:55 a.m. and the one to West Palm Beach has a departure time of 7:55 p.m. Direct non-stop service to Florida destinations from White Plains is also offered by AirTran, serving Orlando, West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, and Tampa from the county's airport.
And new passport requirements apply to current air travel. Glenna Gray tells you what you need and when.
New passport regulations have gone into effect. All persons traveling by air entering the United States must present a valid passport, Air Nexus card, or United States Coast Guard Merchant Mariner document or an alien registration card form 1-551. So, if you've left the country without your documents, you won't get back in, even if you're only coming from Canada, the Caribbean, or Mexico. By January 1, 2008, these rules will apply to all travelers entering the United States, whether by air, land, sea, or foot. The passport requirement does not apply to United States citizens returning directly from a United States territory, which include Guam, Puerto Rico, United States Virgin Islands, American Samoa, Swains Island, and the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. These new rules are the implementation of the Intelligence, Reform, and Terrorism Prevention Act of 2004, as amended in 2006. So don't forget your passport. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Glenna Gray.
And you might be interested to learn who's visiting Westchester County. A study by the Westchester County Office of Tourism revealed some interesting statistics about the tourists who come to our county. As was to be expected, many of them are senior citizens who come to visit friends or relatives in the region. Other visitors also include people traveling on business. Based on the study, the average tourist who visits Westchester County has an annual income of almost $95,000 and spends about $430 per day on average and stays in the county for 2.4 nights. The county earned revenues of $4.8 million last year from the 3% hotel occupancy tax. Among the top tourist areas are the Westchester Mall in White Plains, Playland, the Rockefeller Estate near Sleepy Hollow, the Hudson River Museum, and the Lyndhurst Estate located in Tarrytown.
If you're wondering where things stand in the day laborer lawsuit against the village of Mamaroneck, the parties are still talking, trying to resolve the issues rather than have federal Judge McMahon determine the remedies and damages based upon her findings that the village had harassed the day laborers based on race. According to Village Mayor Phil Trifoletti, the deadline for the parties to reach agreement again has been extended for a few weeks, well into February. The mayor confirms that talks are continuing at the attorney level between the parties and at the trustee level. And of course, we'll continue to update you on the case.
Last June, 2 Mamaroneck High School students set a fire in the track locker room. They pleaded guilty to arson in October, and their sentencing is now scheduled for February 5th. The 2 students, both 16 years old and Mamaroneck residents at the time, were charged as adults and pleaded guilty to arson in the 4th degree. They could receive sentences that range from a conditional discharge to 4 years in prison. It is at the discretion of the judge to select a useful offender adjudication. This would allow for a sealing of the records and a waiver of the criminal record, thus providing the students with a second chance. The high school also had a number of fire alarms when students pulled the fire alarms through, though there was no fire. Any student who inappropriately pulls a fire alarm faces a suspension from the school and also imprisonment of up to 1 year and substantial fines. Any such fines will also become part of the school student record and will make it more difficult for a student when he applies for college or a job later in his life.
It's time to think about running for the Mamaroneck School Board. The Committee for the Selection of School Board Nominees, or the Selection Committee, is looking for 2 candidates to fill positions that will expire this June. One of the incumbent trustees, Janet Buckbinder, has announced her intention to run for a second term, but Board President Cecilia Absher does not plan to run for a 3rd term. Absher says her decision is in observance of a voluntary 2-term limit designed to ensure the constant infusion of new ideas while maintaining continuity and longevity. She doesn't want to prevent potential new members from bringing a fresh perspective. So if you're interested in running and seeking the Selection Committee's nomination, which is not required in order to run, the deadline for submission of completed applications is February 8th. All potential candidates, with or without Selection Committee endorsement, must file a petition with the district clerk in the superintendent's office by Monday, April 16th at 5 p.m., and the petition must have a minimum of 48 signatures. Those candidates must also be a U.S. citizen who's able to read and write and be a resident of the Larchmont Mamaroneck community since at least May 15, 2006, and also you cannot be a school district employee. For more information about the Selection Committee and its nomination process, or for application forms, you can go to selectioncommittee.org and click on the link for membership information.
Two multi-story apartment buildings are proposed by Esposito Builders for 77 North Avenue and 2101 Palmer Avenue. The first time the project was discussed by the Planning Committee was 4 years ago, and later it was discussed again in 2005. However, only during the last couple of months the project has really gotten significant community attention. The project thus was again on the agenda of the Planning Committee on January 8th, and the session was attended by many residents who may be affected by this project. The buildings have a total of 51 units. Each building has parking underneath and 3 levels of apartments. Of the 51 units, 5 apartments will be reserved for workforce housing and will be rented at below market rates. One concern of the residents is traffic that might be caused by the new houses. The study that had been undertaken by the planning board's consultant came to the assessment that the buildings would not have a major impact on the area. According to the consultant, 20 trips in the morning from the project are expected and 27 in the afternoon. Residents were still concerned, however, about traffic after hearing this assessment. They're especially concerned about the safety of school children in the area. Based on the discussion at the meeting, the planning board asked Esposito Builders for further review of traffic and demographics. Another issue is whether the project exceeds the zoning guidelines. At the end of last year, the planning board seemed to be in favor of the project. However, a final decision has not been made. The project is to be discussed again at the planning board meeting on February 7th.
The town of Mamaroneck wants a new fire truck, but it's up to you. Mike Witch has more.
The Town of Mamaroneck Board has scheduled a special referendum for February 27th. That day, voters will decide if town firefighters will get a new pumper truck to replace one purchased in 1979. If approved, a bond up to $460,000 will pay for the new truck. The town board has already approved the resolution but needs voters to also approve. The vote will be by paper ballot on Tuesday, February 27th at the Weaver Street Firehouse from 6 to 9 p.m., just 3 hours. Only registered voters who live in the unincorporated area are eligible to vote. The town board will hold its regularly scheduled meeting on the same day as the vote, February 27th, at 6:30 p.m. in the firehouse, not at the town center courtroom as they usually do. This will allow board members to certify the referendum after the polls close at 9 p.m. And there are other capital projects scheduled in the town this year, some already included in the budget, others needing bond resolutions. The board, for instance, has approved a bond resolution for $160,000 to replace a 40-year-old portion of the roof of the highway garage building. Also approved are bond resolutions for $267,000 to purchase highway department equipment and $23,788 to buy hydraulic snow plows. Funds for other projects are included in this year's budget. The town will spend $250,000 for paving and improvements for one part of Brookside Drive, $100,000 for the purchase of 4 police vehicles, and $55,000 for the replacement of the metal stairwell from parking lot number 1 to the Larchmont train station. The next regular meeting of the Town Council is February 7th at 8:15 p.m. in the Town Center courtroom. Reporting for Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Mike Witch.
Fire money for the village of Mamaroneck. Here's grant details is Glenna Gray.
Congratulations to the village of Mamaroneck. It received a $20,000 grant for safety gear and a generator from the Forward and Son and the Firemen's Fund Insurance Company. The money will be used to buy 5 sets of turnout gear, which is fire-resistant protective clothing. The hydraulic generator will provide light in emergency locations. Forward and Son is an insurance agency and used the points it accrued through the Firemen's Fund to donate the money. Other communities in Westchester also received grants to help protect volunteer and paid firemen. Congratulations again. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Glenna Gray.
a prestigious award to local students. Learn more from Mike Witch.
The 2007 Intel Student Talent Search named 2 budding scientists in our community as semifinalists. Megan Ryan from Mamaroneck High School and Adam Saltzman from Westchester Hebrew High School are among just 300 seniors out of 1,705 who entered the competition this year. The annual Student Talent Search, America's oldest and most prestigious science competition, is often called the Junior Nobel Prize. Megan's project is entitled Sensitivity of Diffuse Large B-Cell Lymphomas to DNA Methyltransferase Inhibitors is associated with a specific epigenetic signature. Whew. Megan's advisor in the original science research program at MHS is Guido Carbarino. He's quoted in a school press release saying this about Megan. The Intel Talent Search represents the very best of high school science research, and Megan epitomizes this. She has always approached her work with a genuine curiosity and a love of learning, as well as a serious goal-oriented work ethic. Having known Megan since she was an 8th grader, he said, I'm not at all surprised to see her achieve this level of success. Adam Saltzman, who lives in Scarsdale, entered a project entitled Toward a Unified Theory of Spelling and Reading Deficits. Both Megan and Adam, as well as their respective schools, will each be awarded $1,000 for their accomplishments. On January 31st, 40 of the 300 semifinalists will be named as finalists. Reporting for Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Mike Witch.
Want to crack your back? Well, not exactly, but Glenna Gray talks to a chiropractor.
Thank you for coming in, Kieran Cullen.
Thank you very much for having me.
What is a chiropractor?
Chiropractor is a doctor that focuses on the spine, and the reason we focus on the spine is it protects your nerve system. And your nerve system is responsible for controlling and coordinating the functions of everything in your body. From the way we see, to the way our heart beats, to the way our lungs breathe, to the way our stomachs digest food, our immune system, our endocrine system is all regulated through this system.
So a good spine will give you good health.
Yes.
And health, what's the health of America today?
I think if we, when we listen to the reports and we see a lot of the reports coming in, it doesn't look like it's too good.
So what age person would use a chiropractor?
I've seen children from birth, and I've seen them up to in their 90s.
From birth?
From birth. The first traumatic thing you ever experience is the birth process. And if a woman's spine is in proper alignment, it can put constraints on the developing fetus.
Oh, I see. And so just by growing, as the infant grows, wouldn't the spine just stretch out on its own?
It could, as long as there's no restrictions in space so the baby can move properly. And then in the first year of life, we grow more in that first year than at any other point in our life. We'll literally grow 50% of our size in the first year of life.
Would you work on an animal, a mammal?
In New York State, we're not allowed to. You need a special license for that. But, there are chiropractors that actually do that.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been practicing?
I've been practicing for 10 years.
Oh, you look so young. I didn't think that.
See what chiropractic can do for you?
Yeah, yes, it can. And do you have a particular specialty within the range of chiropractic work?
I do a lot of work with children. I do a lot of work with special needs children. But I do see, everybody, again, from, childhood up to the 90s.
Any athletes?
I do work with athletes. Athletes benefit greatly just because there's actually a research study done in New Zealand, actually here in America, and they found that athletes who were under regular chiropractic care, actually it's improved their reaction time up to 16%.
Really?
That's pretty enormous. And a lot of your famous athletes, from Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods, they all rely on chiropractic as a...
Oh, well, how often would a professional athlete go to a chiropractor?
It really depends, and that's why, it's not a cookie-cutter approach to healthcare. It's
very individualized.
It is, because everybody has individual needs. You're unique. There's nobody else in the world like you. So we want to make sure that you're functioning to the best of your ability, whatever that may be.
Are there any machines involved?
There are different techniques within chiropractic, and it's kind of like martial arts. The gist is the same. I think the end product is, the same, but there are different ways of going about. And the techniques are art form. So there are some people who do use machines. There are some people who use their hand. And you know, Greek chiropractic comes from the Greek meaning done by hand. That's where it originally came from.
Are there many women in this field?
Oh, yeah, plenty of women. You don't need to be big, or it's more of a finesse and relaxation and waiting for the body to be open to receive what we call a chiropractic adjustment. And what we're looking for is any kind of interferences within the nerve system that would decrease the proper flow of this life energy that allows us to be vital.
Life energy.
Life energy.
Sounds Eastern.
I guess there's some Eastern overlap in there.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
I learned so much with this short interview that we have.
Great.
And that's it for this week's edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News.
You can watch this program again. It's on every weekday night at 7 p.m. We record one show each week, and it's replayed on this channel, LMC-TV, channel 75.
Or if you want to request to see it, you can. Call LMC-TV after 4 in the afternoon during the week at 698-6808 and ask to see the new show. They'll try to put it on at a time that's convenient for you to watch.
And this reminder, this news program is an all-volunteer effort, and we could use a few more volunteers, either behind the scenes or as a reporter, or maybe you'd like to shoot video. Whatever the case, we need you.
In short, if you want to volunteer to help us put this program on, we've got something for you to do. Stop by some Thursday night in the LMC-TV studios and see how we do what we do.
The LMC-TV studios are in the Mamaroneck High School, the Palmer Avenue side, just up the stairs across from the landmark Walter's hot dog stand. We get things started around 7 p.m. and we would love to see you.
Also, if you have any comments or suggestions or some video of an event that you'd like us to put on this news show, bring it to the studio or write to us at Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, in care of LMC-TV, Mamaroneck Town Center, 740 West Boston Post Road, Mamaroneck, New York, 10543.
Thanks again for watching Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Sven Oehme.
And I'm Maura Carlin. We'll see you next week. Big decision for the Mamaroneck Beach and Yacht Club.
Electoral season in the village of Larchmont.
Locals rally for peace.
Could your commuting plans be derailed?
Mamaroneck High School students on a national game show.
Big plans for the Mamaroneck Library.
Cyber classes in Rhinebeck.
And high divers in Larchmont. Those stories and more coming up on this edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. Hello and welcome to this edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Mike Witch in for Sven Oehme.
And I'm Maura Carlin. Our top story, 3 years in the making, a big decision for the Mamaroneck Beach and Yacht Club, allowing it to build 31 seasonal housing units on its waterfront property. Village residents opposed the project on grounds of traffic and water quality concerns. The zoning board denied approval on those grounds. Then village officials amended the village code to limit the amount of permitted seasonal housing. And of course, lots of lawsuits and proceedings. But recently, a New York Supreme Court justice ruled for the club, reversing the zoning board's conclusions. Now the club will go ahead with plans to build those seasonal residences for members and guests to use from April to October. It submitted its environmental impact statement to the Village Planning Board recently. The club's owner, Bernie Rosenshine, also has a $20 million lawsuit pending against the village. According to the Journal News, the Village Zoning Board has not yet decided whether to appeal.
A story in the Larchmont Gazette says that electoral politics in Larchmont Village may be a bit untraditional this year. The Republican Party saw a sudden change of leadership with the unexpected resignation on January 30th of Marion White, who had chaired the party since 1995. The Democrats, say the Gazette, appear to be returning to their historical pattern of putting forth a full slate of candidates to run for the Larchmont Village Board and for village justice. In fact, at their caucus last week, Larchmont Democrats nominated Ann McAndrews and Richard Ward as candidates for village trustee and Jerry Bernstein for village justice. Larchmont Republicans also caucused last week but did not announce candidates. Mayor Liz Feld says this is a rebuilding year for her party. The Independent Party did not hold a caucus. So the election in Larchmont this spring will be uncontested. Incumbent Ann McAndrews will be running for her 4th term on the board. Jerry Bernstein is also seeking a 4th term as village justice. Richard Ward will be making his first run for office. He's been an active civic volunteer since moving to Larchmont in 1992. When elected, he'll take the seat now occupied by Mike Weiner, who's not running for re-election after serving 3 terms as trustee. The village election will take place on Tuesday, March 20th. In a change of polling locations, all voting takes place this year at the village center. Absentee ballot applications will be available from the village clerk.
A steady stream. Honking car horns showing their support for the peace protesters braving the cold. About 60 local residents took to the corner of Weaver Street and Palmer Avenue on January 27th in a last-minute rally timed to coincide with the large anti-war march in Washington, D.C.
I'm one of the co-organizers of this event, not one who does a lot of protesting or marching, but really wanted to finally take a stand with the possibility of escalation and a troop surge happening. And I think it actually can be a chance to bridge the gap between Republicans, Democrats. I mean, we all have children, we all want peace.
Some of the participants learned of the protest by driving by and then came over to join in. Others came prepared.
Frustration with my elected representatives.
I feel strongly about the failed policy and that it should be, that we've got to do something quick. It doesn't make any sense for more people to die and for Iraq to suck up more of our money.
But I am violently opposed to the war in Iraq and violently opposed to Bush and his conduct of the war. And I feel that we've got to do something positive to get rid of them.
And I'm really proud that this is happening in Larchmont.
Andrea.
We continue to send emails out on Thursday and Friday. It's a spontaneous group of Larchmont Mamaroneck residents. We don't have a name, or there isn't a name yet, I should say, and we're going to be figuring out where we go from here.
The group is trying to organize more efforts to keep the war in everyone's mind.
The Mamaroneck Village Library Board has plans for a $22 million expansion of its building on Mount Pleasant Avenue. As reported in the Journal News, the project would add 17,000 square feet to the existing structure, doubling the library's usable space. Board President Helen Rafferty said the plans reflect the, quote, ideal library for Mamaroneck. However, scaled-back versions are also in the works, she says, to provide more options. The library has reported a 40% rise in circulation in the past 5 years, and 100 to 150 people a day use the reference section. Officials say more than 60 civic groups use the library's community room, which is busy each night, and there aren't enough computer terminals to serve internet users. Plans call for a complete structural upgrade to the 1927 building, including a high-efficiency heating system. There's also a renovated reading room that will restore the original historical architecture. An event or multi-purpose space will overlook the harbor, and the children's library will be expanded. There will also be more space for computers and a small cafe. Library officials plan to discuss the project with community groups and see how it fits in with other projects going on in the village. The library board hopes to finance the project through a combination of public and private funds, including a request that the village board take out a bond. The library board also is planning several fundraisers to add to the capital campaign. So far, the library has raised $3 million, including 2 gifts from private donors. The library board is currently working with George Scheiferdecker, a village resident and architect at BKSK, a Manhattan-based firm which was the architect for the Children's Museum of Manhattan and the temporary visitors center at Ground Zero. Helen Rafferty, president of the library board, says that the one thing that some of the people in this village have in common is that they are all going to the public library and sharing this community place. In this day and age, she adds, that's a beautiful thing.
As the newly composed Mamaroneck Village Board focuses on reducing litigation, the Mamaroneck Village Patrolmen's Benevolent Association took a stand against settling one of the big litigations involving the village. As you may recall, 4 former village police officers who'd been brought up on disciplinary charges and subsequently fired sued the village alleging violations of the constitutional right to free expression. Now, that case is scheduled to go to trial on February 5th unless it can be settled. At a recent village board meeting, the PBA expressed its opposition to negotiating with the very parties who made allegations against them and injured the department's reputation. As of our taping, no word on where things stand, but we will, of course, keep you posted.
Metro-North Railroad could be hit with a strike this August if a coalition of railroad unions doesn't reach an agreement with management before then. As reported in the Journal News, the labor dispute involves 8 unions that represent 3,500 workers, or 70% of the unionized labor force. The unions have been working without a contract since the end of 2003. They were released from mediation by the National Mediation Board on November 7th. A presidential emergency board was then appointed to help resolve the labor dispute. A cooling-off period is now in effect. 2 weeks ago, that board released a report recommending that both sides agree to settlement terms established last June, with one change about worker contributions to health care costs. That would favor the unions. The recommendations, however, are not binding, and the deadline for a new labor contract remains August the 4th. At that time, the railroad could impose a new set of terms on these employees, and they in turn could strike. Included would be workers from a dozen crafts, including sheet metal workers, firemen and oilers, machinists, electrical workers, teamsters, power department workers, and some foremen and supervisors. Railroad conductors and engineers, by the way, are covered by a separate union and have a current contract in effect since January 14, 2004. The unions want parity with Long Island Railroad workers who have had historically higher pay and some better benefits for the same jobs. They reportedly were offered terms that would make them fall further behind.
Local scholarships pay off. Glenna Gray has more.
The Larchmont Mamaroneck Scholarship Fund continues to assist and encourage local students to attend college. A recent graduate from the high school, Pia Castillo, appreciates the scholarship because it allows her to relax a little. Ms. Castillo buys used books and works whenever she is able. The scholarship fund funds local students at $500 through $5,000 each semester for the first 2 years of college. Applications are now Many students have benefited from this fund, and Claudia Hutter is one of these people. She has returned to Larchmont and created the Larchmont Music Academy on the Boston Post Road. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Glenna Gray.
A new course at Rhinebeck High School allows advanced math students to study college-level calculus with a professor at Stanford University in California. As reported in the Journal News, 5 female math whizzes at Rhinebeck are enrolled in a program called EPGY. That stands for the Educational Program for Gifted Youth. Using computers and the internet, the program offers long-distance multimedia courses to advanced students in subjects such as math, English, physics, and music. The Rhinebeck District started to offer EPGY courses this school year to its top math students in the senior class and 11 advanced students in the 1st, 4th, and 5th grades. The seniors qualify for college credit for the course. As you might expect, the math course isn't easy, partly because the students have little communication with the 3 Stanford professors who teach them. Just once a week, they have a live class with Professor Greg Knuckles, who communicates with them through computer speakers. The girls ask him questions through a microphone, and his work appears in real time on the projection screen. In addition, the girls take a computer-based class 3 times a week that includes recorded lectures. They're expected to complete all homework assignments, and they can listen to the lectures again on their own. The girls report that virtual learning will never be a substitute for traditional classrooms, and that there are occasional frustrations. Because of the time difference, emails to professors sometimes go unanswered for 3 hours, and a computer glitch can be a problem. But the students also feel the course demonstrates a new way to learn and provides education at a level that was not previously available.
High board, low board. Glenna Gray talks to some successful local divers.
Welcome, Bianca and Manita. I'm getting 2 for 1. 2 divers, I believe you are both. Yes? And I see you're wearing medals. What are those medals for, Bianca?
I recently went to a competition in Boston.
Yes.
And I had 2 events, and I placed first place in both of them.
And Manita?
I got 3rd place and 4th place.
In the same
competition.
In the same competition. Well, how often do you ladies compete?
Usually every month or so. Sometimes there's 2 months in between.
Oh, that's often.
Yes.
And you enjoy diving?
It's a lot of fun.
What's your favorite dive?
I like inward double on 3 meter.
Inward double on 3 meters. And yours?
I like reverse 1.5 on 1 meter.
Reverse 1.5 on 1 meter. Now, for the Americans who are watching, what is a meter?
It's about 3 feet. It's a little bit more than 3 feet, but.
And you said 3 meters.
Yes.
What's the highest one you've ever jumped?
10 meters.
10 meters. And you?
7.5 meters.
7.5 meters. Now, how deep is the water that you're diving into?
Usually 13 feet, and with higher tower, there's about 17 feet.
And where do you practice?
We practice at SUNY Purchase with high dive champions.
And every day, twice a week?
4 times a week.
4 times a week. I guess Saturday and Sunday, and then 2 other days.
Yes.
So that you get your homework done. Where do you attend school?
The Master School in Dobbs Ferry.
And you also?
Yes, same grade.
Are you in the same class?
2 classes are the same.
2 classes are the same, so everywhere, but we can tell the difference. Even though you're twins, I can see the difference, and I'm sure your teachers can. So what are your hopes? What would you like to do? The Olympics, I assume.
I would. My goal right now is to go to one international competition, which is tough, but that's...
Even though it's not the Olympics, international competitions are tough. Yeah. When is your next contest?
In February, up in New Canaan, Connecticut.
Ah, just up the road?
Yes.
And how do you prepare for that? Do you change your diet?
No, we just do a lot of practicing.
Just a lot of practicing.
And training the same dives over and over again until you perfect them.
So do you take videos during practice?
We have a TiVo, so we can watch the dives after we do them.
Ah, good. And you each have the same coach, I guess?
Yes, Mike Darlin and Billy McGowan.
Oh, male coaches?
Yes.
Oh, and who is your idol?
My idol is Guo Jingjing. She's a Chinese diver, and she placed first in the Olympics last time.
Nice idol to have. And who's your idol?
Laura Wilkinson, an American diver. She also won the Olympics.
Second, first, second, third? How?
First place.
First place. This last Olympics? Or?
The one before.
Oh, so the next Olympics coming up is which one?
2008, I think, in Beijing.
2008. My goodness, it's already here? Gee, they were talking about that. I remember they were trying to bid for it, that China won.
Yes.
Now, when you go to the Olympics, your trainers go with you. Who else goes with you? When you travel, who goes with you?
Your coaches and your teammates. It's very limited, so they only take a few divers to the Olympics. So.
Oh, they only take a few. So have you tried out in California?
We went to nationals this summer in California.
Well, I guess the states that touch the water probably have more divers. What about Kansas and Arkansas, in the states that are inland? Do they really have divers?
There are a few teams, but the best teams are in California, and then there are a lot on the East Coast.
Or Florida. Yes,
Florida
they have the wonderful weather all year round. Well, can you tell us anything about diving to encourage any other ladies to start?
Oh, well, it's a thrill, and it's a lot of fun spinning and twisting. It's always a challenge, so it's new. And
it always feels great learning something new, and you can feel proud of what you're doing.
Spin the wheel and buy a vowel. Glenna Gray learns about Mamaroneck High School students on a game show.
In January, Mamaroneck students and teachers auditioned and won an opportunity to appear on a New York City game show entitled Chain Reaction. Teachers and students will be opponents. The game is a wordplay association game. The idea is to connect common two-word phrases to form a multi-part chain. The contestants are given the first and last word of the several-word chain. The contestant may ask for the first letter of one of the words. Several teachers auditioned while the students took a literacy test, which was basically a version of the game. The teacher versus student game will probably air in April on Channel 88. We will be watching for it. Good luck. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Glenna Gray.
And that's it for this week's edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News.
If you'd like to see this news show again, you can. It's on every weekday night at 7 p.m. We record one show each week, and it's replayed on this channel, LMC-TV, channel 75.
Or if you want to request to see it, you can. Call LMC-TV after 4 in the afternoon during the week at 698-6808 and ask to see the news show. They'll try to put it on at a time that's convenient for you to watch.
And remember, this news program is an all-volunteer effort, and we could use a few more volunteers, either behind the scenes or as a reporter. Or maybe you'd like to shoot some video. Whatever the case, we need you.
If you want to volunteer to help us put this program on, we've got something for you to do. Stop by some Thursday night in the LMC-TV studios and see how we do what we do.
The studios are in the Mamaroneck High School, Palmer Avenue side, just up the stairs, across from the landmark Walter's hot dog stand. We get things started around 7 p.m. and we'd love to see you.
Also, if you have any comments or suggestions or some video of an event that you'd like us to put on this news show, bring it to the studio or write to us at Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News in care of LMC-TV, Mamaroneck Town Center, 740 West Boston Post Road, Mamaroneck, New York, 10543.
Thanks again for watching this edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Mike Witch.
And I'm Maura Carlin. We'll see you next week. More field news.
Locals busted for 9/11 fraud.
School board looks into special ed safety and administration changes.
Big plans for the Emlyn Theater.
Commuting news.
And the mystery of the missing baguette. Those stories and more coming up on this edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. Hello and welcome to Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Sven Oehme.
And I'm Maura Carlin. Our top story. As Major League pitchers and catchers get ready to report, it's only fitting that the debate over local fields progress with an affirmative step. On January 29th, the Larchmont Village Board unanimously approved a resolution to request $2.5 million under Westchester County's Legacy Program to install an artificial turf field and related improvements at Flint Park. This vote followed numerous meetings, work sessions, and revision based on input from the Flint Park Conservancy, Fields for Kids, and other members of the community. The latest plan includes, besides the turf field, more parking and landscaping, a new soccer field at the old Flint A field, which will no longer be used for baseball, creating a nature walk on the water's edge, adding another Little League field at Lorenzen to replace a soccer field, and redoing the 6 tennis courts that will remain at Flint. Assuming the Legacy grant is received, additional funding will come from bonds that were issued in 2004, previously awarded grants, private donations raised by Fields for Kids, the Flint Park Conservancy, and others. The board expects to hear about the grant around the end of this month and will keep you posted.
Dr. Paul Fried has been the Mamaroneck School Superintendent for 18 months, and he has now come up with a proposal for the way the schools are administrated and should be administrated in the future. In a letter dated January 31st, 2007, he informed the school district that he had reviewed the operations of the Mamaroneck Union Free School District very closely and very carefully, and the result of this research made him submit a proposal for major restructuring of parts of the school administration. Dr. Fried has come to the conclusion that the current administrative structure and the number of administrators not sufficient to offer enough support for the faculty at the schools. His plan consists of 3 parts. On the administration side, he plans to add 4 new directors, a director of English, director of mathematics, director of science, and a director of social studies. Under his plan, some of the department chair positions will disappear. The new directors are supposed to support the teachers in their practice and with all necessary information in all aspects of what they need for their daily work as teachers. In the second part of Dr. Fried's plan, he will change the title of Director of Special Education to Assistant Superintendent for Student Support Services. The new position will see expanded responsibilities and broad supervision of guidance for grades 6 to 12. A position of Director of Guidance will also be introduced. The current position of Director of Health will see a reduction of responsibilities. The person who will be Director of Health will continue to supervise the health teachers, but will not be in charge of nursing services anymore. Furthermore, as the third part of Dr. Fried's restructuring plan, he wishes to create the position of Director of Cultural Arts. This position will cover pre-K through grade 12. Dr. Fried says in his letter that the restructuring that he proposes will have a cost. However, he believes that the benefits to everyone will be very significant. He will explain his proposal to the Board of Education on February 13th at the high school. It's likely that the many changes proposed by Dr. Fried will lead to a very intense review and discussion process. The February 13th meeting is open to the public.
Also being discussed by the Mamaroneck School Board is special education and safety issues. At a recent study session, representatives from the district's special education department brought the board up to date on various services being offered and considered, and included a discussion on what inclusion education means or should mean. This was just the beginning of the conversation. As for safety, the district's safety committees presented their long and short-term recommendations for increasing security in the schools, an issue on which many district residents disagree with each other. You can expect some or all of the following short-term recommendations to be included in the school superintendent's proposed budget: training for staff and students, official greeters at school entrances, labeling doors and windows, ID tags for staff, upgrading PA systems and safety plans, cell phones for gym teachers who are out on the fields, and additional fencing for some of the playgrounds. All of that's expected to cost about $250,000 if the school board decides to include it in the budget.
A Mamaroneck businessman and his partner have been charged in a civil lawsuit of more than $300,000 from federal relief agencies following the September 11 terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center. reported the conviction of Vincent Pizzi III of Mamaroneck and Alexander Koltovsky of Denver in October of 2003. A federal jury was convinced that both committed the crimes, and Pizzi was sentenced to 33 months in prison for fraud, making false statements to relief agencies, and conspiracy. He served time and was released last July. Koltovsky was sentenced to 51 months and released in November of last year. Pizzi and Koltovsky had an executive recruiting firm, Alexander Edwards International, that was located at 2 World Trade Center. The offices moved in December of 1999 to 501 Madison Avenue. However, the two claimed that their office was still at the location of 2 World Trade Center during the attacks on September 11, and they applied to the federal authorities for relief money from the Mortgage and Rental Assistance Programs, the World Trade Center Business Recovery Program, and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. In the civil suit that was filed in U.S. District Court in Manhattan, the government is now seeking triple of the amount of the damage that they caused.
If you were one of the unlucky commuters on February 6th, if it makes you feel any better, Metro North apologizes for your inconvenience. Morning train riders in Mamaroneck, Larchmont, and Harrison stood in the frigid weather, watching as train after train passed them by, a result of the car and train accident in Rye when a car drove into the train. Commuters complained that they didn't know why the trains were skipping them, and when they finally got on trains, they were too crowded. Nevertheless, Metro North apologizes.
Some good news for bus commuters in Westchester. The Westchester B-Line system will start to accept Metro cards on April 1st. The first attempt to reach out to the public, the focus is on people who use reduced fare Metro cards, like senior citizens and disabled riders. To make it easier for residents of Westchester County to learn about the program, a Metro Card full-service van will be making rounds in Westchester on major bus routes starting February 12th. The van is a one-stop shop on wheels for B-Line riders. There will be people on board who can answer the questions of the commuters and can also sell tickets. In our area, the van will be in New Rochelle on February 12th, March 12th, and April 16th from 10 a.m. to noon at Huguenot Street at North Avenue, and in Portchester on February 15th, March 15th, and April 19th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Carver Center, 400 Westchester Avenue, at South Regent Street, and from 11:30 to 12:30 p.m. at the railroad station in Portchester.
It may be cold outside, but it's time to think about LMC-TV's Sunny Awards, named for past LMC-TV president Sonny Goldberg. This year's award will go to the Larchmont and Mamaroneck libraries for their steadfast and selfless commitment to serving the Larchmont-Mamaroneck community at large. As Mike Charles, president of LMC-TV, recognized, and I quote, "Our libraries are not just about books. They are vital, exciting places that offer lectures, classes, and cultural nourishment. They've also done a great job of keeping up with technology," end quote. The annual Sunny fundraising dinner will be held on April 22nd at the Mamaroneck Beach and Yacht Club from 4 to 7 p.m. Tickets are $80 per person and include cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, and dinner. For more information, contact Jessica Pozzoli, Associate Director of LMC-TV, at 381-2002, extension 202.
To build or not to build? Amy Schachtel has the answer.
The Emmeline Theater is already one of the best places for music, theater, and performing arts, is now getting even better. With the recent announcement of a $10 million renovation, the expansion is being called the Next Stage and will include an expanded stage for film and dance productions. The new film theater, called the Black Box, will have 60 seats and be for small productions for new playwrights, shows, and chamber music. The Emmeline has always been the place where you would find a very diverse selection of entertainment right here in Mamaroneck. More modern technology will add to our community's love of theater. The Emmeline Theater has been a registered, not-for-profit organization for 35 years, and funding for the Next Stage will be raised completely from foundations and private donations. All contributions are tax deductible. The renovations should commence spring of 2008. Founded in 1972, the Emmeline Theater is Westchester's oldest professional theater. the Emmeline is and will remain a rich and colorful center for all ages, and this new project will entertain generations to come. For Larchmont-Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Amy Schachtel.
A new fire truck for Larchmont. Glenna Gray explains.
After several years of consideration and analysis, the Village of Larchmont has decided to purchase a new $472,000 fire engine. The new engine will replace a 1965 model. The old engine has performed for 40 years and is now beyond repair. However, the old, quote, horse, unquote, will be used to hose down the streets of Hunts Point in the Bronx. The new engine will take 1.5 years to be built and delivered. The updated fire engine will respond to automobile collisions, hazardous material incidents, ice rescue, and medical calls. The many compartments of the new engine will allow all the specialized equipment to remain on the truck. Oily or flammable liquid fires and support rescue equipment, such as the Jaws of Life. According to the Deputy Chief Broderick, this new equipment will save manpower time and save lives. The board voted unanimously to accept the American LaFrance bid, which was the same company that built Larchmont's engine in 1922. A 15-year bond will be used to pay for the updated engine. That works out to about $24 a year for the homeowners. For Larchmont-Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Glenna Gray.
Kids are the cybernet generation, but it's not all about me. Amy Schachtel meets a group using the internet for good.
Pleasure to have you back again. You were here once before telling us about a project that you're doing that is very important, and we have some of the people who have helped make it so successful. Kip, tell us what you're doing.
Well, thank you. First of all, thanks for having us. This is some of our core group, and as you can see, we kind of have a different range in age.
Yes.
But we don't have a difference in their passion in being involved. The website is really what we have come to call www.cybercompassion.com. So
now, Kip, one thing is, cyber compassion, the most important thing I read, is a valuable commodity to all of us, but to some of the places, such as in Mozambique that you visited, water. Water, a valuable commodity, but not so easy for these people. But you want to make it easier. Tell me what it is that you're doing about that.
Well, our first initiative is water. It's true. We have the Water for All campaign, and what we're hoping to achieve is to use the children's energy and their willingness and teachability and their curiosity to try and incorporate into the curriculum of the schools here in the land of haves, if you will, the concept of compassion. So the kids are building a website for design, sort of this radical state-of-the-art website, which Amadeo can talk to us more about, designed for and by the kids, where their voice can be heard. Their field work, if you will, on the ground in this country is to really excite other kids and create kind of a MySpace with a conscience. And the initiative is to work on a water campaign, which is very ambitious. They've done the research and they've come to see that sort of a 50 well and a 50 latrine build out in Eastern Africa, in Mozambique, in this particular area, is one way that you can actually bring the water, the wells, the pumps into the communities in these remote parts, so that the kids in the recipient villages, sort of our areas of focus, can have water, so they can go to school and they can actually, when you bring water into a community, then the kids have a chance to have a life, if you will.
I understand. Now, let me backtrack a little bit. How long have you been involved in this?
This particular initiative started for me in the summer, but I was lining up the research on it since last fall.
And since you've begun, you've made some very big strides. Can you tell us some of your success stories? And I have a feeling some of these people you have with you.
They definitely can tell you better, because they, these guys have...
let's find out. Amadeus?
Amadeo?
Amadeo, rather. Sorry about that. I understand you designed a website. Can you tell us about that?
Okay, well, we're working on the website to basically attract kids, teenagers, anybody who's young, and willing to post pictures, videos, anything to keep people interested and attracted to this problem with the water.
And have you found that you have gotten responses and you have reached?
We're working on it. It's still in the building process.
Mm-hmm.
Because actually it's very complicated to make sure with the safety, because as we get people to post things, we want to make sure that the privacy is not violated.
Of course.
Through all these internet pirates.
I understand. And Gilbert?
Yes.
I'd like to know the part that you're playing, because I know it's a very important one.
Well,
Tell us a little bit about that.
It could be important, but I think I want to go back to something Kip said about the energy of the kids. That is really the driving force behind this project. And we want to put the faces of the kids because, as you know, they are the ones that are going to ensure that our future is better. And if they make better connection with the outside world, I think we can all be hopeful that, you know, we are doing something very useful and meaningful. So my role at school, at the French American School, is to coordinate their effort and to bringing them into a moment in time at school where we can then, you know, think about all the activities that we want to conduct, you know, whether it be building the site, maybe organizing some project that we can put our energy into, and then raising money and creating some campaign of information, you know, having these wonderful faces, show their face on TV, sometimes talking with the kids in Africa, building those connections that, you know, water is about life. And seeing these kids being concerned about the other life is really the, you know, sort of the culmination of the whole project. So I'm helping coordinating the effort.
That's wonderful. Can you tell me what you have done?
I have been drawing pictures and writing some stories and trying to find ways how we could help, like, Africa get cleaner water.
That's terrific.
And we just been drawing lots of pictures, and I told Kip once that we've been looking for, like, for the last, I think, week, we've been looking for to make Africa, like, with the play pumps, to make like the Africa water better by pumping it with children.
Wow, that's very...
Let's talk about that. Tell me more about that, because he did a lot of research on the idea of the kids here and the kids over there. You guys all do the same thing. Y'all want to play, right? So tell me about that play pump.
The play pump's kind of like a seesaw. It could have maybe 2 people on one side and 2 people on the other, and you swing like one side to another, and it pumps the water, and it makes it cleaner.
That's fantastic. Very creative.
Our newest reporter, Don Lewis, looks into a local mystery.
Où est la Renaissance? Where is la Renaissance? A lot of residents of Larchmont would like to know the answer to this question. It refers to a very popular bakery on Chatsworth Avenue that produced fine French baked goods for more than 2 decades. They suddenly went out of business without so much as a hint of why. According to my source, a business neighbor who prefers to remain anonymous, sometime last year they announced that they would no longer accept credit cards, only cash. This was perplexing to a lot of their customers, but no explanation was offered. They catered to a lot of the large French population in town, as well as the old school population. There was a sister store in Scarsdale and, according to my source, was owned by the same owners of the Larchmont store. A man named Joel, his wife Sabina, and their third partner, Adam. Joel and Adam ran Larchmont and Sabina, Scarsdale. When I called the French American school in town, I got a no comment from one of their administrators. This intrigued me, so I called the Scarsdale store, where I was greeted with a profound denial of ever having been associated with the Larchmont store. The clouds began to clear when I went to the popular Nicky's Pizzeria, located next door to La Renaissance. They sent me to the anonymous business neighbor who knew Joel, Sabina, and Adam since they opened. According to the neighbor, there were rumors of a divorce, but the final solution to the mystery seems to be an all too familiar scenario in the retail businesses across the country these days. A decision was made to close the bakery because of the high and mounting costs of running such a business. The raising of rents and the cost of supplies these days brings to mind the phrase survival of the fittest, and it runs across the board from small businesses to large. The townsfolk would like to see another French bakery come to Larchmont, but in the meantime, there are a few French businesses in town still holding their own. The Encore French Bistro on Chatsworth, Les Wine Shop, and Oehme Cheese Shop, both on Palmer. Myself, LMC-TV, and the townsfolk of Larchmont would like to say, au revoir, pâtisserie La Renaissance, vous nous manquerez. Goodbye, La Renaissance. We will miss you. For Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Don Lewis.
And that's it for this week's edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News.
If you would like to see this news show, you can. It's on every weekday night at 7 p.m. We record one show each week, and it's replayed on this channel, LMC-TV, channel 75.
Or if you want to request to see it, you can call LMC-TV after 4 in the afternoon during the week at 698-6808 and ask to see the news show. They'll try to put it on at a time that's convenient for you to watch.
And this reminder, this news program is an all-volunteer effort, and we could use a few more volunteers, either behind the scenes or as a reporter. Or maybe you'd like to shoot video. Whatever the case, we need you.
So if you'd like to volunteer to help us put this program on, we've got something for you to do. Stop by some Thursday night in the LMC-TV studios and see how we do what we do.
The LMC-TV studios are in the Mamaroneck High School, the Palmer Avenue side, just up the stairs across from the landmark Walter's hot dog stand. We get things started around 7 p.m. and we would love to see you.
Also, if you have any comments or suggestions or some video of an event you'd like us to put on this news show, bring it to the studio or write to us at Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News in care of LMC-TV, Mamaroneck Town Center, 740 West Boston Post Road, Mamaroneck, New York, 10543.
Thanks for watching Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Sven Oehme.
And I'm Maura Carlin. We'll see you next week.